Hello, happy people, and welcome to your Moment of Zed, the YouTube channel dedicated to the most beautiful car in the world, the BMW Z3, or as the folks in Carlingford, Ireland call it, the Z3. I'm Mark, and today we're trying to find an elegant solution to a common problem on the Z3, that is slow window movement. Now, other folks on YouTube, and they do a great job fixing it, but they end up having to remove completely or partially remove the interior door panel. Now, my interior door panels, fortunately, are almost in perfect condition, and being 20 plus years old, being held on by plastic clips, etc., I'm kind of worried that if I remove them, I'll damage them. Plus, if you watch these other videos, and I've linked a few in the description, you'll find that it's a fairly involved process. And again, you're taking a chance on breaking things that might be hard to replace. So I've taken my inspiration from surgeons, arthroscopic surgeons. In the past, surgery, you'd have to cut somebody wide open to fix something, but nowadays surgeons make small incisions and use a scope to find their way, do their job, and close up and they're done. That's what I'm going to try and do on my car. Now, I'm not 100% sure it's going to work. Right now, it's a theory, it's an idea I had. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and walk you through it. I'm going to try and actually show you what's coming out on my scope as I go into the door and try to work it that way without doing any damage. But before we get to that, a couple shout outs. Number one, to another channel, Bald Man Motors, guy who used to do Z3 content. He doesn't own a Z3 anymore. He's kind of more into AMG Mercedes content. But check out his old Z3 videos. Check out his Mercedes videos if you're interested in Mercedes. Awesome German cars as well. And just give him a look. He does a great job. So shout out to Bald Man. Also shout out to my number one fan, my nephew Nate in Cleveland, Ohio. It's his birthday today. You're probably seeing this tomorrow on Sunday because I've got to edit, got other things to do. But anyways, it's his birthday weekend, so happy birthday, Nate, and thanks for watching as always. You folks have been really nice and you've responded to my request for Zed of the Week. So today, 2 Zeds of the Week. First up, we have Walter from Atascadero, California, and his 1997 1.9 liter 5-speed beautiful blue Roadster with only 40,000 miles. He bought it in 2019 and since then has put on new tires, a ceramic coating, roll hoops with a mesh wind deflector, bought the hardtop, put on those side decals, and installed a backup camera as well as a new Alpine head unit. He says all his original speakers are working well. I wish I could say that about mine. And he loves to use his Z3 for jaunts through vineyard country. Boy, Walter, it's a shame you didn't have any photos of nice scenery for us. Well, maybe next time. Walter, thank you so much. Next up, we have Alejandro from Guadalajara, Mexico, who just bought this one-owner 2002 2.2-liter automatic Roadster. He's done some basic maintenance on it, but he also changed the wheels to those Style 68 wheels. Boy, Alejandro, I really like the looks of those, and I love that interior. Thank you so much for submitting your gorgeous car. All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for submitting your cars. I've got one more in the queue as well. You'll be seeing your car soon. Thank you again. If you want to see your car on Moment of Zed, please follow the directions in the description below. So now let's get on with this surgery and see if it works. So the equipment we're going to be using today, pretty simple. Most importantly, the Depstech DS300 endoscope. This costs $60 on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also put a link to a review of the product. I'm not reviewing it today necessarily. I'm just using it. I also bought those 50-inch aerosol can replacement straws to get a better reach on my lithium grease that I'm going to try and get into the window tracks. As you can see on the Depstech, it has its own light, and it will show you what it's looking at on the screen, and it's nice and well lit for tight areas like the inside of the door of the Z3. Now here's my setup. I've put the Z3 up on the Rhino ramps, which I reviewed probably a good year ago now, just because I wanted a little more space under the door. And I'm using my mechanics creeper as well, so I can move around a little bit. And to actually get into the door, come around here, up underneath at the bottom of the door, there are basically 2 inspection holes, one towards the back end of the door, and then one towards the front end of the door. And those are typically covered by these black caps. That just goes right in here. Not particularly easy to get in or out, but they do work. One of mine was missing, but taking those off, and those are the places I'm going to get access to the door. So here we go. We're looking at the view from the endoscope itself, and we're going into the front opening. And as you can see, the window track and the front slider are right there as soon as you go in. You can see the bottom of the window where the track's connected, and there you see the white plastic slider, which is connected to a ball joint. That slider is held on by a metal clip. You can see the 2 ends of the clip in the upper portion of the screen, and what looks like some older lithium grease still at the end of the track. So that was pretty easy to get to. This is with the window all the way down. I tried this with the window all the way up and the window halfway down, and it was very difficult. The further you push the endoscope in, the more any little shake of your hand starts to move the camera around. It's harder to see what you're doing. But there you go. There's the track. So we have pretty easy access to the end of the front track anyways, and we should be able to lubricate that sliding plastic clip. Okay, now we're looking at the rear slider. I put the camera in the rear opening, and we're taking a look now at that back slider. We're looking at the same part. It's kind of hard to tell because this one's covered with a fine black dust, it looks like, so it's kind of dirty. But now we're looking at the back slide track, which we have access to a bigger portion of it than the front, and we have access to that same white plastic clip. It's just that this one is not particularly white right now, and you can kind of see into the track itself is what we're looking at, where that glow from the light comes from. And certainly it looks like pretty much bare metal. There's no lubricant in there, so that's probably the root of our problems. My windows work okay, but I'm just a little worried that I'm putting too much strain on the motor without having these tracks lubricated. So we have access to it. Now the question is, can I use the camera and the lubricant at the same time? We will see. Okay, again, what I'm trying to do is get some PB Blaster penetrating lithium grease. That's the grease I've decided to use. I want to get that into the track and onto those white clips that you saw a minute ago. The rig I'm going to use is the Depstech, and I've taken a length of that straw, and this is about the maximum length that the PB Blaster can get through. Found that out through some trial and error. And I've electrical taped it to the end of the endoscope where the camera is, and obviously I'll connect that to the PB Blaster. And what you end up with is kind of on the screen like you're looking down the barrel of the straw, and hopefully I can use that to direct the white lithium grease exactly where I want it and not all over the place. We'll find out. Okay, so here we go with the lubricant hooked up. We're going into the front opening on the door and the front track. And one thing about this is it's hard to aim. Wherever you move the endoscope, it kind of goes the opposite the way that you think it would. So getting this into position to go ahead and squirt the lubricant is a little difficult, but I've kind of got it lined up where I thought I wanted it, and we're going to go ahead and hit it with some lubricant.
And as you can see, some partial success. Got most of the slider, but most of what went out of the tube kind of went overboard. So at this point, I just kind of lined up again a little bit different. Again, a lot of trial and error in this technique. And then went ahead and hit the slider again. And got a lot on it that time. The PB Blaster stuff foams up pretty well. Foamed up right on the camera lens, so had to withdraw at that point and clean up the endoscope. Back cleaned up, ready to go into the back opening, the back part of the door, and the rear slider. And as you can see, that was the dirty one. And that one was actually pretty quick and easy, and got that pretty clean. Took just a few seconds extra to line it up right. Had it and lost it and regained it, and then went ahead and shot it and got a pretty good coat of the lithium grease and penetrant on that. And so I was pretty happy overall with that. And then it leaked all over the camera, so back out to clean up. One thing I had trouble doing, I really wanted to get it into the slide itself to lubricate that whole slide, and it was really rather difficult. Never could quite get the angle, although I tried and tried and tried. As you can see, that was one attempt where it kind of looked like I was lined up as best I could be, and it just didn't really work out. And other tries produced similar results, unfortunately. So and we'll talk about that here in a second.
So results. Yesterday I timed the window going up and down. Going up, it took about 5 seconds, which is not bad. But going down, it took 13 seconds. The motor really sounded strained, and I kind of had to help push it down. I'm sure maybe some of you have experienced that before on your vehicle. Today, under similar environmental conditions, I timed it again after I did the job, and it was still about 5 seconds to go up, but it was 6.5 seconds to go down, half as much time. Was a lot less strain on the motor. You could hear that, and I didn't have to help push it. So I think overall, it's a success. I would say it's a qualified success for the following reasons. Number one, it's not the easiest thing to do it this way. It requires a bit of dexterity in your hands and quite a bit of patience, to tell you the truth. So I did a lot of trial and error, and it is what it is. The other problem I have with this technique is you really kind of get an incomplete lubrication. You can hit those sliders, as you saw on the video from the endoscope, real easy. But what I couldn't find an angle to get into was to lubricate the track real well. I just kind of worked the window up and down, went back, squirted it again, worked the window up and down, and kind of tried to get it into the track that way. Plus, there's other joints in the window regulator mechanism that I didn't lubricate. I probably could have gotten to some of them if I had really tried, but again, I ran out of patience a little bit. So I would give this a qualified success. Give it a shot if you'd like to. I think the endoscope would come in handy for any of us for a lot of other reasons. So with that said, if you like this content, please smash that like button below. And until next time, drive safe.